The stepmother, determined to get rid of her stepdaughter while she was still young so she wouldn't have to share the inheritance, could never have imagined that the young woman would return to seek revenge after many years. Giovanna grabbed the woman by the arm and slapped her face with all her strength. "Oh, how I've waited for this moment. Try to attack me now, or are you only brave with children?" The stepmother, confused and stunned, asked, "Who are you? You're going crazy, girl." Giovanna grabbed the collar of her shirt, her eyes brimming with anger and hurt accumulated over years of abandonment. "You destroyed my life, you damn thing. And you're going to pay for it." The woman, stunned, couldn't understand what was happening. "What are you saying? Angelo won't find out anything. You promised that this brat wouldn't mess up our lives anymore." The contempt in Giovanna's words was clear, as she remembered the conversation she had overheard. The stepmother, in disbelief, replied, "I can't believe you're back, you wretch." The fight escalated, and Giovanna was determined to get revenge. However, it is important to note that this story did not begin that way. In the small community of Vpr, in Lombardy, Italy, there was a sweet girl named Giovanna, the daughter of an influential farmer. Despite living in a large house and having everything she wanted, she missed her mother figure. It was then that Eleonora entered their lives on a Saturday morning, when Angelo, Giovanna's father, was getting ready for the town market, where he sold cheese, milk and fresh produce. Although he had a large farm and employees, he loved manual labor and always counted on the help of his daughter, who, even when she was young, organized the fruit and entertained the customers with her sweet voice. That morning, Eleonora appeared at the stall, and Angelo, enchanted by her beauty, offered his services. "How can I help you, madam?" he asked, surprised. "I'm looking for carrots and potatoes," she replied. Angelo, seeing the woman's interest, decided to offer a special discount. "I can give you a good discount, half the price." "That would help, wouldn't it?" Eleonora, beaming at the offer, thanked him. However, Angelo wasn't just trying to make a sale, he wanted to get to know her better. To his surprise, Eleonora called him and they arranged to have dinner. From that day on, a relationship began between them, and Angelo believed he had finally found a good woman and a mother for his daughter. Eleonora seemed to be everything he had hoped for, a nice and charming woman. With her long, wavy brown hair, a soft, gentle gaze, and curves that drew attention, Eleonora managed to captivate Angelo with just a smile. However, behind this sweet appearance, she hid an extremely ambitious and cold-hearted woman. The very day she met him at the market, she had already learned about his life and had ulterior motives for that chance encounter. Eleonora knew that Angelo, a widower, sold fruit and vegetables at his stall, but also owned a vast estate. After the wedding, Angelo began to call her Nora. Although she presented herself as a kind person and an exemplary stepmother, the reality was quite different. Giovanna, Angelo's daughter, who had always been treated with affection in the presence of her father, soon began to suffer at the hands of her stepmother. The little girl faced constant humiliation, while Nora defended only the interests of her own daughter, Cara. "This is to teach you not to disobey me. If you tell your father anything, I'll cut out your tongue, you insolent brat," Nora shouted, unleashing her anger on the girl. Cara, who shared her mother's wickedness, was envious of Giovanna's beauty and sensitivity. The girl also couldn't stand the fact that Giovanna had a father who loved her and introduced her to the world with affection. So whenever she could, Cara made a point of destroying her sister's things. Eleonora had a brother named Dante, who also started working on the farm and lived in the big house, always close to the family. Dante was Eleonora's perfect accomplice, doing everything she asked, a true servant to his sister and the luxuries she sought. On the farm, the tasks were divided among the family members. While Angelo took care of the larger animals, the girls were responsible for collecting legumes, fruits and feeding the little ones. One morning, Cara locked Giovanna in the pigsty. Luckily, Angelo found her after hearing Cara and her mother laughing. "My God, daughter! What are you doing there?" he exclaimed. "Dad, That girl locked me up here. I hate her. Giovanna replied angrily. Calm down, daughter, there must have been a mistake. Chiara was definitely the one who did this, said Angelo, a kind and naive man who often didn't realize the abuse his family was committing. Chiara's excuse was simply an accident, but Angelo, who had always been polite and protective, believed in her innocence. Angelo grew up on the largest farm in the region, the eldest son, taking on responsibilities from an early age, especially after his mother's death when he was still a child. Her death, a victim of cancer, caused him to mature quickly. His mother, a sweet and caring woman, always offered love and protection until he was 14, when he lost her. Since then, Angelo's life has changed drastically, and he has had to help his father even more. With the absence of his mother, who understood the importance of living a childhood, Angelo became responsible for many aspects of the family, facing a harsh reality. Angelo always wanted his daughter, Giovanna, to have a mother, so that she wouldn't have to face the loneliness he had experienced and could count on feminine advice in difficult times. He believed he had made the best decision in taking care of her. Giovanna lost her mother, Estella, the day she was born, when complications during childbirth took her life. Since then, the sweet girl felt the absence of a maternal figure, but she never complained about attention, because Angelo always showed affection and love for her. Despite having a sister from her stepmother now on the farm, Giovanna used to play alone. She preferred solitude to the company of people who didn't understand her. She often felt sad that her father didn't notice the tensions that existed in the house, where before there was only peace. The horse Diamante was her faithful companion in the moments when she needed to get away from Dante and Chiara, or when she wanted to explore places that were only hers, full of tranquility. She would spend days in the countryside, trying to escape the intrigues of her stepmother and sister. However, Eleonora was not happy with Giovanna's escapades and began demanding that she perform various tasks, which prevented the girl from enjoying more fun moments. Today you are going to wash this basin of clothes and, when you are finished, clean the windows in the hallway, ordered the stepmother, while taking care of her nails. My father asked me to, replied the girl, distressed. It doesn't matter, I'm telling you to. Hurry up, because your father won't be back until the end of the day, insisted Eleonora. Giovanna retorted, feeling the injustice of the situation, I don't think it's right that I have to do this while Chiara is watching TV. The stepmother threatened, if you don't obey, you will regret it. Desperate and fed up with being mistreated, Giovanna decided it was time to confront Eleonora and show Angelo who the woman he had married really was. She was determined to unmask the villain, but what happened that day was drastic. In the midst of an argument, Eleonora attacked the girl, taking advantage of Angelo's absence. I'm going to tell my father about you, witch. He'll know everything, Giovanna challenged, but Eleonora silenced her, saying that if the girl didn't keep quiet, the consequences would be worse. After the beating, Eleonora asked Dante to get rid of Giovanna. What should I do with her? He asked. Take her far away, throw her in the river or somewhere no one will find her. Lyon, in France, is a good option, Eleonora said, without compassion. Dante, although loyal, did not feel comfortable with this order. He knew he had to do what his sister asked, but his heart was against any action that could hurt little Giovanna. He was hesitant about what Angelo would think when he returned home and realized that he and his daughter had disappeared. Don't worry, he didn't see you today, and you can say you left earlier, Dante argued, trying to find a solution that wouldn't leave a deep mark on Giovanna's life. Eleonora's brother put Giovanna to sleep with a sedative, ensuring that she would not wake up during the trip. Before leaving, he warned her, if you go back, it will be the end for you, because neither I nor your stepmother will allow you to return. When Giovanna woke up, she was alone on a sidewalk in an unfamiliar and vast city. Not knowing where to go, she sat down and began to cry. For weeks, little Giovanna struggled on the streets. To survive, she scavenged for scraps of food, begged for water in bars and tried to earn a few coins. As time went by, her appearance changed drastically, her blonde hair was tangled, her clothes were dirty, and her face reflected the dust and fatigue of life on the streets. Meanwhile, Angelo, when he arrived home and could not find Giovanna, became alarmed. He looked for his daughter in every corner of the farm and asked the employees and neighbors, but no one knew where the girl was. Eleonora coldly suggested that perhaps Giovanna had gone out riding. Desperate, Angelo called the police, and an intense search began with the help of neighbors and friends, but to no avail. Over time, the hope of finding her again faded. Eleonora, feigning compassion, consoled Angelo, saying that if Giovanna were to return, destiny would take care of it. Angelo, believing in his wife's sincerity, ended up getting even closer to her, without suspecting what had really happened. As the months passed, Giovanna was lucky enough to be found by a family from northern Spain, who adopted her and took her into their home. This elderly couple, without children, welcomed her as a blessing in their lives. Under their care, Giovanna had a new opportunity. She learned languages, cooking, geography and arts. Over time, she avoided remembering her traumatic past, keeping only the happy memories with her father. Her adoptive parents tried to help her with love and support, but Giovanna would always cry whenever anyone mentioned her past. Eventually, the pain and trauma dissolved, and she moved on. After 15 years, Giovanna's life changed radically when she lost her adoptive parents, first her father, who died of cancer, and soon after her mother, who died due to age-related health problems. With the inheritance left by them, Giovanna, now an adult and with financial resources, decided to face her past. Although the details were distant, she had never forgotten Eleonora's name. As she recalled moments from her childhood, memories began to clear, awakening in her a deep desire for revenge and the urge to find out what had happened to her biological father. Determined, Giovanna began to investigate, remembering fragments of the place where she lived until she was 5 years old. She remembered the Bella Giorno farm and, with that, concluded that it was in a small town nearby. Information obtained confirmed that the farm remained the same, which led her to return, but with a plan. In order not to be recognized, she would assume the identity of a masseuse offering services on the farm. The next morning, she arrived at the property. The first person she met was Dante, Eleonora's henchman, who, without recognizing her, greeted her. Giovanna, or rather, Sarah, as she introduced herself, explained her relaxing and therapeutic massage services. While she was looking around, she was met by Cara, Eleonora's sister, who also did not identify her. Giovanna was anxious to see her father again, but he did not show up, and, at dusk, Dante instructed her to leave. Before leaving, when she casually mentioned the names of Angelo and Eleonora, Dante found it strange and questioned her. She answered vaguely, suggesting that they had already spoken in the past, and walked away, pretending to leave. However, knowing the farm intimately, she returned later and snuck around the premises. While hiding, she heard Eleonora talking to Dante. She said that she had left food for Angelo, tied up in the stable, but that this would be his last meal. Eleonora revealed, without knowing that Giovanna was listening, that her plan was to get rid of Angelo and start the inventory to finally get rid of the property. Upon hearing this, Giovanna felt a growing despair. She quickly ran to the stable, where she found her father tied up, weak and marked by wounds. Without hesitation, she began to untie him, determined to free him from his suffering. The moment Angelo looked into Giovanna's eyes, he immediately recognized her as his daughter. "Giovanna, is that really you?" he whispered, overcome with emotion. Without hesitation, she encouraged him, "Dad, we need to get out of here now." With unsteady steps and leaning on his daughter's shoulders, Angelo, still surprised and emotional, could hardly believe it. "I've waited so long for you," he said with a trembling voice. Giovanna, however, asked them to talk later and quickly took him to her car. As soon as they were safe, Giovanna went straight to the police station, reporting the kidnapping, mistreatment and torture that Angelo had suffered. The police, upon seeing his condition, promptly went to the farm to investigate. Giovanna insisted on going along, determined to witness the arrest of Eleonora, her greatest enemy. When they arrived, they found Eleonora about to leave, with her bags packed. She tried to dodge the situation, claiming that she had a trip planned to the United States and could not cooperate. However, the police officer replied, "You are not going anywhere. You are under arrest." Eleonora, in a panic, tried to escape by running to the back of the house, towards a secret passage behind a closet, which only the family knew about. Luckily, Giovanna was nearby and managed to catch up with her stepmother, finally confronting her. "You are a viper, Eleonora. I have waited so long for this moment," said Giovanna, full of hatred. Eleonora, not recognizing her daughter, retaliated, "Who are you, you crazy woman?" And when she realized who it was, she said, "I can't believe you came back, you insolent woman." Giovanna grabbed her by the hair, spitting, "You will pay dearly for everything you have done." Shortly after, a police officer appeared and handcuffed Eleonora, taking her into custody. Dante, the henchman, arrived at that moment and was also arrested, while Eleonora's daughter, an accomplice, had already left the place earlier, unaware that the siege had closed. Later, alone with Giovanna, Angelo, still shaken, apologized with tears in his eyes, "Daughter, forgive me. I never imagined the horror you experienced." Moved, Giovanna replied, "Dad, you trusted the wrong person, but it's not your fault. I understand that Eleonora deceived you, and I'm immensely happy to see you again and that we've overcome all this." Angelo then asked why she hadn't tried to return sooner, and Giovanna explained, "I was taken by force, I was beaten a lot and I was threatened." Dante's words echoed for years, "If you go back, you're dead." For a child, that was terrifying. In the end, Giovanna told everything about her life with her adoptive parents, describing the love and security she found with them. With a new sense of hope, she said she was ready to create new memories with Angelo, starting a new phase together. The reunion wouldn't be easy, but fate did its part, allowing everything to be possible again. After all, the love between father and daughter, even after almost 2 decades, proved to be stronger than any obstacle. If you liked this story, I'm sure the next video that appears on your screen will also touch your heart. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like and activate the bell to receive all notifications and not miss the next exciting stories. A big hug and see you in the next special report.